Let's make this code a little bit better. So here in getUser, I don't want to interact directly with the database client. Actually, I want something like return user.getUser and pass the username. For that, we need to create a user class. And we will not import database client from here, but from user. We will need to import a user class. So let's create a user.py file, and here we can import database client because we will need it, and start creating our user class. For now, let's keep the constructor empty. Let's implement a function getUser, but because I want to call this method directly on the class, it must be a class method, so it has class and accepts username. We will do the same thing like before. So db client query by partition key and sort key, and here we specify user and username. And the same thing for sort key, user, and username. So it will return some items, and of course we need to close parentheses and return items. Let's test this. Closing parenthesis is not matching. Okay, this one is not okay. I added this extra one. Yep, that's everything. The thing I don't like is that we are returning a list, and when we search for a user, we expect only one user. So let's return items at index 0, which is a little bit better, but still I don't like returning that strange JSON object. For example, for username, it is here, we have username, but it's not username equals James. It is an extra object which says string James. So let's improve this because I want to print an actual user object from that user class. How to do that? I want to be able to create our user, so I will explain it. I want a constructor that accepts username, connection ID, GSI status, information about playing with X or with O, and actual points, all of these. Fields that we have in that item, and instead of pass, I want to save everything to self. So for example, self.username will be username, self.connection ID will be connection ID, and so on. And other than that, I want an additional class method. And that method will parse the data we get from the database, so that item, and convert it into our user. It will create our user. Let's call it from item because it comes from the database. It will be a class method and will accept an item, and we want to return the class by calling the constructor with values.
So username will be the item's username. And then access an S in order to get an actual username.
Do the same thing for all other properties. The same for every field. So there is connection ID in the same format, and so on. Points will be a number, so it is N and not S. You see the idea from item, and here in getUser, we don't want to return that JSON, but return class dot from item and pass items at index 0, so that JSON about the user becomes an actual user. Let's run it. We have a user object, except we don't see anything useful here, so we can go to the user class and add an
dunder representing method
to print the object and return a string of a dictionary. Run it, and now we have information about username James. Connection ID is an empty string for now, and so on. It looks way better than that strange JSON.